Good day, this is Shauna Casey, and welcome to this SOS Solutions webcast, Saving Time with Tech Tools. As this is a webcast dealing with SOS products and services, no continuing education credit is available for attending. Due to the large number of attendees, no conference call service is available for this webcast. The sound will broadcast through your computer speakers. However, if you wish to ask a question at any time during the presentation, please feel free to type it into the Questions and Answers panel of your GoToWebcast console, and we will do our best to answer them as they come in. Any questions that we don't get a chance to address during the webcast, we will follow up with afterwards in an email. This morning we sent an email with a link to the presentation materials to everyone that registered as of 10 a.m. Pacific this morning. You can also find the link to the materials under the Event Resources tab on your GoToWebcast console. This session will also be recorded, and we will send a link to the recording and materials in the next day or two. I hope that all of you are familiar with Stock and Option Solutions, or SOS as we are more commonly known. For those of you who are not, SOS is a leading stock administration, staffing, consulting, and outsourcing firm within the equity compensation marketplace. SOS provides interim and permanent placement, expert project resources, and total outsourcing solutions. To learn more, you can visit us online at www.sos-team.com or call us at 408-979-8700. Next, I'd like to introduce you to our speakers for today's session. We are pleased to have Srini Kalakoti and Sorrell Johnson on the panel today. Srini is the Director, Architect, and Product Manager for SOS Products. He has been with SOS for over 10 years and has over 17 years of experience in software and services. At SOS, he has been assisting with defining the technology, and with a good blend of strong technical and equity knowledge, he has been able to design, build, and customize various products catering to and easing various stock administration activities, and widely improving their efficiencies without compromising on the auditability of the results. Sorrell began working in equity compensation in 1997 and has held equity management positions at NetApp, Redback Networks, and Ariba, an SAP company. She currently works for SOS as a Senior Equity Compensation Consultant. Sorrell speaks at various events, including industry webinars, the NASP National Conference, GEO, and NASP University. Her areas of expertise include employee stock purchase plans, spin transactions, mergers and acquisitions, and she also has experience in global equity compliance in over 50 countries. Sorrell received her Certified Equity Professional designation in 2003, and she is a member of the Professional Services Group here at SOS. Next is our standard disclaimer slide. We'd like to remind you to consult your own advisors before making any changes. As I mentioned, the materials are available on our website, and here again is the link. Thank you all for joining us today, and with that, I'll turn this presentation over to Sorrell, who will introduce our topic and cover the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shauna, and thank you all for joining us today. I wanted to let all of you know that Srini, while he is with us today on the webcast, he's a bit under the weather, and he doesn't have much voice left. So I'm going to be basically speaking for most of the time. If we have any really hard tech questions, of course, I think he's got enough voice to answer a few of them, so don't be shy. If he does run out of voice, then we will get you some answers if he can't get some answers to me to answer your questions. So let's talk about our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the Payroll Express product, our custom statements, and the Email Express product that SOS offers. So Payroll Express. Basically, there is so much time spent in a stock administrator's day formatting files and sending files to and from payroll. I mean, your files go at least weekly, if not daily, in between the two departments. And Payroll Express can help you save some of this time. So when you have releases and exercises, disqualifying dispositions, these need to be reported on a W-2. And that means that you've got to get that information to your payroll provider. Now, the process is that you normally generate files that go to the payroll provider, and then you have to format them. And this is cumbersome, whether it's ADP or Workday or another payroll provider. And you've got to make sure that you send the data accurately and in the payroll provider's file format. And these could be XML, they could be CSV, they could be in all sorts of file formats that aren't easy to work with in Excel. And if you generate these manually, if you have maybe 1 or 2 transactions, fine. That won't take you necessarily a long time to format. However, when we start talking about 10, 15, 20, or even hundreds of these line item transactions, that's going to take a while to get into the right format. Now, we just talked about what we need to send to payroll, but the flip side of that coin is that payroll sends to stock admin the year-to-date taxes. And you've got to get those into your system to make sure that once you process your transactions, you're withholding the right amount of tax. Now, you can run into, during the format process, you can run into typos, mapping issues. Sometimes you might not even notice an error that you made until someone flags it. And boy, is that embarrassing when you've got the wrong taxes posted to a participant's account. And I want to stop here and kind of a little personal note. I used to work at a company where we had a macro. And our macro basically took the data, we pasted it in the Excel macro, and we ran it, and it spit out a CSV file that we would upload to our payroll provider's website. Now, this worked really well for us for a while. It handled, 50 transactions, not a problem. We did our daily exercises. We had one for the daily exercises, and we had one for the monthly releases. And it was all well and fine until we got to the big release for the year. And, I'm talking about thousands of line items. And it broke. And boy, was that a nightmare, because basically we had to go back, we had to recover the macro, we had to do it in batches. It was a nightmare. And so when you can have a homegrown solution, and it will work to a certain extent, but keep in mind that there will be eventually a problem with your homegrown solution. Our macro, we found out, tended to corrupt itself after so many uses. And so keep in mind that this is not the case with our products. It's not going to corrupt itself, nothing like that. SOS has successfully built and implemented an application that will convert the data in a seamless manner. And our experts will work closely with you to understand the tax mapping between your system and the payroll provider, and will define the mapping rules in the application. Then when you're ready to generate the payroll file, our application will apply the mapping rules and generate the payroll import file within a few minutes, if not just a couple of seconds. And our application will also generate an audit file for you to review the total transactions and the tax details that go over to the payroll provider. And here in a minute, we'll talk more about that, and I'll show you that. And all in all, Generally, the application greatly improves efficiency along with data consistency and accuracy. So let's go through the steps that you need to perform after the application is implemented. And I'm sure you're going to agree this is very easy. So you'd have to run your required reports in the equity system. And as part of the implementation, our tech team will work with you on the required reports, let you know what they are. And since we can't actually access your equity system database directly, we'll have you get this set up and everything. Then with the click of a button, you can import the report data into the application. And then you'll click another button. The reports are generated and exported to the desired folder, wherever you've set that up. And then you'll be able to review the audit file and send the payroll import file to your payroll provider after you've made sure that the file is accurate. So we've got a few screenshots here. So as you can see, the interface is very simple. Buttons are pretty much self-explanatory. To import the files into the application, you use the Import Files button. And the application will give you an option to choose from a predefined source data files that you want to import. And then based on your choice, the application imports just those files. Then the Create Payroll File button will go ahead and generate the files and export them to a folder that you will have set up in the configuration screen. Then the Create Year-to-Date Import File button will create, of course, your year-to-date taxable import file to import into your system. Now, while processing the data, there could be some errors, and you can take a look at those by exporting the error details. You can see that Export Error Detail button right there. Then the Delete Source and Report Data button will clear the data from the application, but it's not going to delete your mapping details for tax purposes. So continuing on here with our screenshots, the top screenshot is related to the configuration screen where you define where you want your reports placed, and then you'll go get them in that folder. And the reports generated by the application all export into that folder. The reports also all carry a date and time stamp, and that way you avoid overwriting any files. And the bottom screenshot is a snippet of the actual payroll import file in the XML format. And I mean, if you look at that, how do you audit that? You really can't. I mean, you can't review it, you can't audit it, you don't even, I mean, personally, I can see that it says there's an RSU release there, but other than that, not a lot of information for you to be able to audit and look at. Now, as opposed to our reports. So to help review or audit the payroll import file, the application generates an audit file. And this audit file has multiple tabs. And if you see the bottom of the screen there, it says multiple tabs of the audit file. Those are all tabs that have information on them in an Excel format that you can actually look at. If you refer to the top of the slide, it gives a visual of the comparison tab. And as you might notice, the source data is compared with the actual file generated, and the compare column to the far right will say whether the taxes were mapped successfully or not. Now, the middle screenshot is actually the payroll import file in a readable format. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'd rather key through that than the XML that we looked at on the previous slide. And regarding the other tabs, the application will go ahead and export all the source data and the tax mapping information so that you have one report with all the required information on it. So that's our Payroll Express product. Now, talking about custom statements, I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't need a custom statement. I'm not being acquired. I'm not acquiring anybody. We don't need that kind of service. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. So custom statements can be used in a lot of ways. Custom statements, yes. First and foremost, people think of them when we talk about M&A activity. Also, I've seen custom statements used for tender offers. It's really helpful for the employees at the end to get a custom statement. It says, okay, here's what you had and you tendered, and here's what you received. I actually once ran a tender offer where the company used those, and they had the employee sign them and return them to the company. It was an extra layer of legal protection. The company was happy with it. At no point could an employee come back and say, hey, I didn't really tender anything here. And the last way to use custom statements, and a lot of people don't think about this, is international populations. So especially your international populations that need to self-report their gains. Lots of times they don't have the FX exchange rate that maybe the local payroll used or you used to convert the gain on their stock transactions and then report in local currency. I used to work at a company where we had a very large Canadian population, and we sent them statements every year, and they participated in our ESPP, they had RSUs, they also had stock options. And there were about 500 folks in Canada. And I would usually spend, because we didn't use the custom statement functionality, I would usually spend anywhere from 40 to 60 hours every year in January just generating custom statements for our Canadian employees, showing the FX rate and all of that. It was hugely time consuming, and as any stock administrator knows, January is not the time to have to do things like that. So custom statements really, you might consider it. I know lots of companies go, no, but you can really use them for a lot of things. And really, like I said, there are different flavors, and they're driven by what you need. And another item, so let me just stop here, because people say, oh, well, my broker has statements available for my employees. And yes, that's true, if your employees can find the statements on your broker's website and if they can understand them. And, you know, really that's one of those things where you may want to say to your employees, look, go look for it yourself. But you know you'll have the employees who keep coming back and saying, I don't know, I can't find it, or I need it. Now, SOS can make this simple for you. We've built an application that will do the job of generating a custom statement, and once it's implemented, the statements can be generated within a few minutes, if not seconds, depending on how large your population is. Our experts work closely with you to understand the custom statement and define the data that is required. And our tech gurus will create the custom statement template and the rules required to map the template to the population, and voila, app is ready to fire up. So based on the rules and templates, custom statements are created, and we can create them so that you can either have one large PDF, or each participant statement can be in one separate PDF. Let's take a look here at the application. So this is a screenshot of the application's landing page. And pretty much this is the only screen that you're going to need. The application will let you define a path to the data and a path to the export folder. The Get Data button will bring the required data into the application. And then the Generate Individual PDFs will generate the individual PDFs, I know. very complicated. Or if you want one PDF, there will be a Generate PDF button, and it'll just be based on what you want set up. Now what the application will generate is here, custom statement. So this one, in this case, this is an assumed option statement. It has the company's name and address, the employee's name and address, has the stock options before, has the stock options after. And you'll see that there's a little kind of phrase there, custom text with some carrots out to the side. So that is a custom text box, and we can put anything you want in there. So if you want to just put like a simple sentence that says, if you have any questions, contact stockadmin at XYZ Corporation, we can put that in. If you want a lengthy explanation, say you want to put in, you want to generate the international employee statements that I referred to earlier, and you want to put wording in about an exchange rate, we can put that in. Pretty much it's whatever you would like. Let's take a look at another one here. So this one is a cash proceeds statement. If the employees received a cash out, again, we've got the employee name and address, company name and address, custom text box, all the detail there for the employees to be able to look at and understand what went on and the cash that they received. Okay, so you've got these great custom statements that have been generated for you. Now, how do you send them out? That's where our Email Express tool enters the picture. So I just recently finished working on a transaction where the stock administrator had her broker generate custom statements for her employee population. And the broker charged a lot for a custom statement, and afterwards said, oh, okay, by the way, here's your gigantic PDF. We're going to go ahead and print these and we'll mail them out. Now, realistically, when you want to generate custom statements, you don't want employees having to wait a week, 2 weeks, for international employees, maybe even 4 weeks, depending on what country it is and how good their postal system is, for them to get these statements. I mean, you've invested in this. They need the information. We all know that employees in today's world they want information on demand. They want it 24/7. So why would we want it mailed out via postal, right? The way to send these out really is to send them out via email. And that's where Email Express comes in. Now, Email Express can do a whole lot of things. When I referred earlier to employees who just want, if you generate custom statements just for regular releases, those can be blasted out via Email Express. Now, you may run into a situation where attachments are customized based on the participants or the type of equity. Or you may want to attach some documents to a certain set of participants. The more you customize, the more cumbersome it becomes if you're doing it by hand. But Email Express can handle all of this. The other thing that you want to think about is you get these great custom statements, and then you send them out, and how embarrassing is it if you have two people named John Smith and you send the wrong John Smith statement to the other John Smith? I mean, that is mortifying. I've had that situation where you have employees with the same name, and it's easy to mix them up. However, you won't mix them up with Email Express. Now, some of the other technical challenges that you might run into if you're just sending out your own custom statements is, let's say you have 1,000 to send out. And so you enlist the help of, say, maybe, sorry about that, let's go back there, maybe one of the admins in your company helps you and sends that out. So then in 6 months, that admin leaves, and the auditors come back and say, can you show me where you sent this custom statement out? Well, actually you can't, because it was in that admin's mailbox. Or if maybe a team member sent it out on the stock admin team, and they leave, well, now that audit trail is lost. That is not the case with our Email Express tool. You will always have an audit trail, and you can tell who sent the emails and where they were sent and at what from what server they were sent. And you also have the option when you use Email Express to choose the sender email and make it say a common email box. So if you are sending them out, but you have a generic email box for stock questions like stockadmin@xyz.com, you can send them out, and they will come from stockadmin@xyz, and that way when people have questions, they can respond, and they'll respond to the general email box, not directly to you. Now, I gave you a sneak preview of this before, but let's look at it now. So this is the application. And as you may notice, the application is designed to send emails like confirmations of release, confirmations of purchase, along with the customized statement emails. The configuration button will allow you to enter your company details. Email settings will allow you to customize the email for each email type. And you can specify the sender ID along with any BCC. Now this is also a good thing. Let's say you say, no, I want to send these emails from my email, but I want to BCC the stock admin box so that we have that record. You can set it up to do this. And the email logs will include historical logs, and they're maintained within the application until you clear them. And the logs give you details on who was sent an email, what email type, and when. And you can export these logs to an Excel spreadsheet. So let's say your auditors demand proof that you actually sent out some of these. Then you can export that into Excel, send it to them, and boom, they have what they wanted. Now, if you decide to send custom emails, and assuming that you configured the Email Express application for custom statements, you get started by importing the required data into the application. Once the data is imported, you can audit the data and make sure it's correct and none of the records were dropped. You can also send test emails. So this is a great functionality. You want to make sure that the email looks okay. You don't want it to look funky. You can go ahead and send a test email, and the application will send up to 3 test emails to an email ID of your choice. And when you click on the Send Test Emails button, a pop-up window appears, and it asks you to enter the test email address. Now, typically, we advise our clients to use their email address here so that they can review and proofread the emails, along with making sure that they've set it up with the right attachment. Then, once you're ready to send out the emails, you just click on Send Emails, and you just sit and you could just watch them go out. Now, if there's a need to send emails to just say 1 or 2 participants, you can enter their employee IDs and comma separate them in the space provided, and the application will pick only those IDs and send the emails out. You don't have to work on filtering the data or anything like that. And if for any reason, let's say your computer crashes when you're in the middle of sending these out, or a server goes down, the power goes off, something happens, and you're like, oh, darn it, I didn't get all of these sent out. When you restart the process will pick up from where it stopped, and it will avoid any duplication. smart enough to know where it stops and to pick up. Okay? So really, that's what we came to talk about today. Doesn't look like we have any questions. So I appreciate that you let Srini's voice rest today. Now, if you would like actual demo of any of the applications we talked about, or if you have any further questions, you can feel free to contact either one of us. And these are our contact details. And since we don't have any questions coming in, I think I'll hand it back over to Shauna.
Great. Thanks, Sorrell. I'd like to thank you and Srini for preparing and planning for this webcast today, and thank all of you for attending today's Solutions webcast. Like Sorrell mentioned, if you do have any questions that you think of later, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and please look for the links to the recording and materials in the next couple of days. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.